Urmi, your happiness word is peace. Tell us more about peace and happiness to you.
So I can go really deep about this whole topic about peace and happiness because these are topics that I usually talk about, or these are things I usually talk about with some of my friends, like what is the meaning of life and what is happiness. And one thing that I realized is that, to achieve long-term happiness, it really means to find your inner peace, to be at peace with the world, to be at peace with yourself, to be at peace with people that you have interacted with, family, friends, coworkers, and so forth. I also think that happiness comes in as a coaster. Like there are some peak moments, there are some down moments, but then on the long term, this is supposed to be like stable. So I feel like I always like to compare happiness to the market volatility because they're like ups and down, but then on a long term, everything is just stable. And I think that really happiness starts from yourself. Like everything really has to start from yourself, and it's about being at peace with yourself. And it's not about materialistic things, it's really about being okay with everything that you have done in your life and accept it. So this is how I think about when I think about happiness, is really about finding inner peace.
And having grown up in a different culture from your own, you have to dig deeper in a different way for that sense of belonging, happiness.
Yes.
And when do you think you came about to just say, wow, I'm an amazing person the way I am, versus questioning that piece about yourself?
It really happened a couple of years ago, especially because I went through this struggle of finding my cultural identity. And I always wanted to find an answer about my identity. Like I wanted to understand, who am I? Like, when people ask me, where are you from? What do I want to tell them? And it was at the moment that I did some inner work, a lot of reflection, that I come to this conclusion that I am Italian Bengali and I don't want anyone to question it. And it was really about embracing my identity and accepting my cultural identity. It was at that moment that I realized that now I've decided about my identity. This is how I found my peace in that particular moment, because coming from a different culture, you typically have a different notion when it comes to happiness. Like people tend to think about happiness in a certain way, like you finish school, you get a degree, you get a job, you get married, you have kids, and that's it. This is it. This is how they define happiness. But I think that happiness is a bit more than that. It's really about working on yourself to achieve your independence. You're happy, like you have to achieve your happiness independently and be happy independently before, you find happiness through other things. And for me, it was just accepting my identity.
And in your pursuit of peace, what is the biggest thing that you have grown personally through?
Probably conquering my fears and, you know, just seeing fear as a friend. I read a book where they talk about the relationship about fear and friendship, and the book was saying that you have to see the fear as your friend. Every time you're afraid of something, it just means that yes, there's something uncertain, but if you see fear as your friend, you will realize how much potential there is in you and how much you can grow from it. And that's how I started to see fear. Like I have a lot of fears and a lot of insecurity, but the moment I started to walk inside that dark cave and I went outside of that dark cave, I realized that there was beautiful things waiting for me. And it was just about just seeing fear as my friend and not as my enemy. Yeah.
And what do you think is one of the biggest fear pieces that you've gone through?
Probably people's opinions. Yes. I think often I wouldn't do things because of that. The fear of what people will say, the fear that people will judge me, the fear that, people will backlash me. And I was like, you know what? No matter what I do, people will have something to say. And so why should I care? It's just an opinion. It's just an opinion, you know, opinions are not facts, and I know who I am. And so I did not care too much about people's opinion.
I appreciate that 100% because it's something I think as girls we deal with a little bit harsher because we're also taking it out on ourselves a little bit differently on people's opinions versus just letting it roll off the shoulders like, "Oh, wait a minute. Did I miss something? Did I not do that? Did I? Should I?" And all those questions that we continue to ask and then just get rid of the questions and move forward. And simply, just like you said, to find our own peace within.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think this is an issue that we as a woman we usually go through because I think we're raised differently. Like I feel like if you ask the same question to a man, he probably would not have the same answer. Like men tend to behave differently than women. Yeah.
And do you have practices that help you find your peace and happiness? I know you've got a lot of fitness going on, but are there things specifically for your peaceful time?
I would definitely say like walking really helped me a lot of my me time. I enjoy my me time and my alone time. And also like writing positive sentences. Like I really try to switch my, you know, my mindset from negative things to positive things. Like instead of saying I cannot do this, I always tell myself I can do this, I am good at this, I will be able to do those things. So every time there's something negative going on in my mind, I try to switch it to something positive, and I feel like I'm somehow like helping my brain to wire that. And so without realizing my brain is thinking about something positive now, and I feel like that way I was able to conquer a lot of my limits, I guess we can say, yeah.
And what advice would you give for someone who's trying to enjoy their peace and happiness?
I would say that peace always starts from yourself and not with other people or from other people. And I would say that, you know, when you're looking for peace, don't chase it in other people. It's about finding the answer within yourself. And so it always goes back to this whole thing, which is the inner work, inner reflection, understanding yourself, exploring different things. I think peace is related to everything that I mentioned. It's like pursuing your passions, you know, serving a community. It's a trial and error. You have to find different things until you find the right fit. And once you find the right fit, I feel like that will bring you a lot of joy and peace. And so it's about trying different things, exploring, following your intuition, the curiosity, meeting different people, exchanging ideas, and that's how you will find the answer. That's how you will feel rich. That's how you will find peace. So it's all like interconnected, that whole thing. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Yeah, so my book is Discovering Your Identity, a Rebirth from Intuition Struggle. Basically, this book is a sort of like a memoir where I talk about my life in Italy from a perspective of a South Asian woman and her culture kid. And so I make basically comparison between the two cultures, the Bengali culture and the Italian culture. I talk about how it was for me to grow up in a very Western society while also growing up in a household that was also very strict and conservative. And so it's very much from a perspective of a South Asian woman. And at the end of the book, I just say how I basically it was all about accepting my identity and taking a bit from the two cultures to find what was the right fit for me. Yeah.
Urmi, if you could give the gift of health, wealth, or happiness, which would you give and why?
So based on the definition I gave, I would probably say wealth because I think that life is much more than a 9 to 5 job. I think that life is about really enjoying yourself and doing different things than just sitting down and watching Netflix. And for whoever is like, trying to be internally rich, my advice would be just go out there and try different things and don't be scared of trying different things.
And now we have a question from our previous guest.
What possibilities would you like to open up for yourself and for other people?
When I think about the word possibility, I think about reaching the sky. So for me, like when it comes to, doing different things, achieving different things, it's because I want to achieve the a limitless, I guess that's how you say it. Like I want to be able to achieve the sky, reach the sky, which is something that I think a lot of people aim for, but I feel like sometimes a lot of things get in the way and we just give up on it. But I don't like to give up on things. Like I really like if I say I want to achieve this, I go and get it. And I'm someone who think about global domination. So this is the one word that comes to my mind, possibility. It's about dominating the world and being out there. I want people to know me for the work that I do. So I would say it's probably that. Yeah.
Urmi, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. And I know the listeners and the viewers are going to enjoy you. And just like me, they're going to be watching all the things that you have coming up in your career. Thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Thank you for having me.